Welcome to the Rock Interview Series with host Thomas S. Orwatt Jr.
Welcome to episode number 80 of the Rock Interview Series. I'm Thomas Orwatt Jr. It is July 27th, 2023, and for this feature, I have Steve Harris, vocalist, guitarist of Hillbilly Vegas, as my guest. During this interview, Steve talks about their current tour opening for Ted Nugent, the new Hillbilly Vegas record entitled The Great Southern Hustle, his 5 favorite records, and much more. So let's get started. Here he is, Steve Harris. Before we get started, please subscribe to the Rock Interview Series. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rock Interview Series. We have a super cool guest with us today. We have Steve Harris of the band Hillbilly Vegas, who is currently on tour with Ted Nugent and tearing up the stages right now. I may add, I just saw you guys in Rochester on Tuesday. First thing I want to ask you, Steve, is how's the tour going so far? I mean, from what I saw on Tuesday night, I mean, you guys were pretty amazing and won the crowd over by the time you guys were finished playing.
Well, we've been very lucky to be on tour with Ted, because Ted is the kind of guy who embraces his opening bands. He loves them to be as loud and proud and everything as possible, and he wants us to win the crowd over, and he wants everything, giving us full lights, full sound, and use of his production crew. And so I don't know that we could ask for a better tour to be on, where you want to get maximum exposure and people to hear you and, you know, in the best possible way. And that's what Ted's given. So yeah, it's been wonderful.
You know, I'll tell you something, Steve. I've been to many Ted Nugent shows. My very first show I went to was Ted Nugent back in '78. So I've seen him over like 25 times. And I'll tell you firsthand, not all the opening bands went over the audience like you guys did. So, I mean, you know, you have to work hard to like earn that respect. And you guys did. So was it at all intimidating, like when you first started this tour?
Absolutely not. And that's one of the reasons Ted chose us, because we are loud and proud just like he is. And we're taking up the banner of rock and roll, but with the soul influence of the Motown days and all that stuff. And Ted says he thought there wasn't anybody left of the bands coming up that could do that. And he's so proud that he found us. So no, I wouldn't say intimidating. I would just say excited and anticipating just fun. And we're ready at all times to get a crowd going and to win them over. So no, you know, it's been just a bunch of fun.
You know, you've been around for a while, but you know, you've just released a brand new record, which was amazing, called The Great Southern Hustle, which came out on
Yes.
July 21st. And great record, very you know, a great Southern rock record. But the thing is, there's like a million bands out there that would want the slot that you have opening for Ted Nugent on his final tour. How did that all happen? How did it transpire?
Well, first of all, you have to have a good product, and we felt like we do. And we have a pretty good resume. We have been around for a while, but you know, we've done some things. We charted 5 country singles before they told us we were too rock and roll, and then now we've had four straight Billboard Top 20 singles on the rock side, and people take notice. But most of all, good management. And our manager, Denny Sanders, has done a great job with us, getting us over on the, like I said, on the rock charts, and just exposing us to where we really belong, because we're a loud guitar group. That's who we are and what we are. And so, yeah, you know, it just takes the right people to get you in front of the right people. And that's really the whole key to the thing.
Yeah. Now the Ted Nugent tour is just for the summer. Do you have any plans to tour after the Nugent tour?
Yes. And that we go to Europe.
Oh, you're going to Europe. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, are you
Yeah. That'll be
headlining?
our, yes. And then we'll also do some support for some tracks over there that I don't have that information to confirm yet on who they are, but it'll be some good tours. And yeah, you know, we did the UK last November as a press tour and some acoustic shows, and it went great. And now with our record out over there, the Great Southern Hustle actually came out over there in November, and it's done really well. And the demand for us to come back over is high enough where they want to bring us over and get us going. And that's really exciting to us, because the audiences over there are just absolutely fantastic. It's like a throwback to the old days when you know, before the internet, when people went to shows, and people wanted to know about you. They wanted a hard copy of your album. They didn't want to just stream it. And so it's just it's a lot like Ted's audience. It's just very, very good people who are excited about music and who just want to know you and follow you and become a fan for life.
The one thing about Southern rock music is that there really hasn't been many really new exciting bands that have come along. I mean, you have your classic iconic Southern rock bands, of course, but I mean they're kind of like in the twilight of their career right now, and it's refreshing to see a band like Hillbilly Vegas come out and just like kick ass and have that like authentic style, that Southern rock style.
Well, thank you. And to be honest with you, I think that if you want to be authentic, you have to go into the thing. We don't consider ourselves a Southern rock band, and there's nothing wrong with Southern rock bands. We just consider ourselves a rock band who happens to come from the South, and that kind of influences how we sound and who we are. And like I tell people all the time, if you go to France and you ask them what kind of food they ate, they don't tell you French food. They just say food. And so if you go to the South and you ask us, hey, what kind of music you play? We just say rock and roll. It just happens to have this Southern feel to it. So rock and roll is what we are. Whatever anybody wants to call us, that's fine with us. And I think there's a lot of great bands out there that are carrying that banner, the Blackberry Smokes of the world, and people like that. But, we're not like them. And we're probably more guitar oriented, louder, more rock to it. And so the wonderful thing is it's a big umbrella. So you can sound like who you are. And there's a place for everybody.
Watching the show on Tuesday, I noticed when you play the song Two Gun Town, that's pretty much when the audience got out of their seats and started standing up and really taking notice. That's a great song. Can you tell our audience a little bit about that particular song and how it came about?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and as far as when they start taking notice, that's about the midway point of the set. When they don't know who you are, they kind of watch you, feel you out for a couple songs, and then if they like you, they start slowly building as the set goes. And so we put that dead center. That's a single for us that hit number 18 this past spring. We wrote it in support of law enforcement. We aren't a band who goes around and champions a lot of causes or a lot of politics or anything like that. But I don't think supporting law enforcement and wanting the people who protect and serve us to make more money and have more respect and have our gratitude for what they do, I don't think that's a political cause. I think that's just normal people stuff. We should all respect those who run towards the fire and protect people. They don't make enough money or anything, and that's just our tiny little thing that we can do to say, hey, we support you guys. But we wanted to do it in a loud, kick-ass way and not a touchy-feely thing. So it's kind of a heavy psycho rockabilly type song, and it's just fun. And we are just so honored by all the law enforcement people that come to us after shows and thank us for that, or people that say, hey, my brother's a policeman, and that's just wonderful. And first night we played it in Immokalee, Florida with Ted, a man came up to us and he had tears in his eyes. He said, I've been in law enforcement 30 years. And it just feels really good to know somebody out there still supports us. And I said, hey, we all support you. You won't find anybody in Ted's audience that doesn't support the law. And that's a great thing.
Yeah, amen on that. The closer that you played was Shake Like a Hillbilly. And you have a very interesting, like before you play the song, you had a very interesting definition, I guess, of a hillbilly, which is a little different than most people think. Can you just tell my audience you're definitely a hillbilly?
That's our own generated definition. But the truth is that hillbilly to us is just somebody who enjoys life and has fun. And the people that we know that I call hillbillies, and we tell them it's God, family, guns, good people, salt of the earth people that like to have fun, come together and have a good party, but like to take care of their business too. And a lot of times, people who don't understand people in the South, especially, they put the word hillbilly in a negative light. And listen, our goal is to shine a spotlight on the good people that we know and the people that call themselves hillbillies proudly. And it's not a negative thing. It's a positive thing, and it's a good thing, and that's how we want how we want to portray it. And that's how we want to let people know, hey, listen, hillbillies are good people. You know what I mean? It's not a negative thing. It's only a negative thing to people who don't understand.
Yeah. So before you played it, you asked how many hillbillies are there in the audience, and like a few people raised their hands, but then at the end when you asked, everyone stood up and raised their hands.
Right.
So you
Well,
turned the whole audience into hillbillies at the end of that song.
absolutely. Well, when you first ask, you get the beer drinkers who raise their hand and go, yeah, you know, they'll raise their hand to anything, you know, because they're just there to have a great time. And that's a good thing because it's fun. And then when I explain what our definition of a hillbilly is, everybody in Ted's audience especially, they understand what I'm talking about, and they understand what I'm saying, and they understand that they've often been misunderstood for standing on certain ground and taking certain beliefs and certain issues and things like that, that maybe they're misunderstood and people don't understand that this is good people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that, like I said, that was such a great way to close out the show. Well, you've been on tour with Ted for a few weeks now. What are some of the things that you've learned from touring with a legend like Ted Nugent?
That if I can have a fraction of his energy at 75 years old, it's amazing. Whatever it is that fuels a guy who's always been sober, who's never been a drug user or anything like that, who, as he says, is high on life and high on things like that. He's not what a lot of people think he is. He's a good man. His crew are loyal to him, but his crew also, they feed off of what he does. These are the greatest people I've seen as a collective on a tour ever. And you know what? He does it right. He treats his people first class. Everybody gets the same food. Everybody gets the same everything. And he meets with them. He tells them what a great job they're doing, and he treats everybody with respect. And he's an icon. And if an icon can treat even the guy down to holding the door for him with great respect and shake his hand, look him in the eye when he comes in every day, he looks that guy in the eye and he talks to him. And that goes for his son Rocco, who takes care of Ted's needs on the road, and that guy has just been wonderful to us. It just you learn how to do things, and Ted understands that. He understands music history and who created what and where we all come from the music family tree. It's just really great listening to him talk and listening to him interact with the audience, and the fact that at his age a lot of guys don't have that kind of energy and skill, and he still got it all. And he's just a great example.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was totally blown away by his performance, but I expected it also. I've followed Nugent for a long time, and because of his values, I think that's why he's still able to do it. While a lot of people, his age who are still performing really kind of struggle and kind of like, use some of the tricks of the trade to like enhance their like live performances. You don't see any of that at a Ted Nugent show, that's for sure.
Well, and you won't see that with us either. There's no tracks. There's no faking anything. We are what we are. I in the studio as a singer, I hate auto-tune. I always tell our engineers, listen, don't fix anything that I do wrong. If I don't fix it, it's because I wanted it there, and I like the little flaws, and I like the nuance of that kind of stuff, because listen, that's where we come and see live shows, right? And Ted gets out there every night and he just plays it, man. He just brings it every night, and he changes songs up sometimes, and to watch that guy, those iconic riffs, he's doing it right. And those guys are just doing it live, organic, right there, the same way all the time. And it's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Over your career, who are some of the other artists that you've played on stage with?
Oh gosh, it'd take an hour, but I can give you some highlights. We've played with everybody from Blake Shelton, Alabama, Travis Tritt a few times, which, by the way, Travis Tritt's just one of the greatest guys and one of the greatest artists, like Ted. He's a lot like Ted. Shoot, Insane Clown Posse, there's one for you. Those guys were also fantastic. Hell Yeah, before Vinny died. Molly had Joe Diffie before he passed due to COVID. I mean, a lot of country guys, a lot of rock guys. There's probably a list of 100, and it's just always, most of the experiences are always really positive. You learn something every time you do that from somebody, even if it's a negative experience. You learn.
Yeah. I was just wondering, with the energy that you guys have on stage, has there ever been a situation where someone told you, "Hey, man, tone it down a bit. We don't want to, we don't want you like over upstage the headliner." Because I can see that happening with your band.
Yes. I won't tell you who, but it's happened a few times. And we were just asked, listen, maybe you're not the best fit for us. Maybe we want somebody just a little less energy and a little less subdued, just to hold the place, and maybe not somebody who's going to command an encore. And sometimes we do, but listen, you know what? I'm not afraid of who's playing around us. I want the best person in front, behind, wherever. And so does Ted. And that's what he understands. He wants us to be the best we can. And those are the guys. Travis Tritt is another one. He just wants you to be the best you can. He wants that audience to get the greatest possible experience. Those are the people we align ourselves with, because we go out there ready to roll, confident, and ready to make noise and do it at a high level. And we want everybody around us to do the same. And that's what's wonderful about playing with people like Ted. He wants the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. I want to talk about your new single, "Down in Honky Town," which was actually written by Frankie Miller, who's a famous songwriter. Tell us a
Yes.
little bit about that song and how that came about.
Well, as a vocalist, Frankie Miller is probably a guy that a lot of people don't know who he is. But as a vocalist, he's one of my favorite vocalists of all time. He and Paul Rogers and Glenn Hughes and Lou Graham and Mark Farner, who we played with the other night in Terre Haute, Indiana with Ted. These are the vocalists that I grew up just wanting to be like. And Frankie, little known in America because of the stroke that he had, and he lost his voice and lost use of his hands. And so his career was cut very short when that happened to him. And so, you know, after the 1980s, he just kind of vanished as an artist because he had the stroke and he could not speak or sing or write or play anymore. But overseas, Scotland is where he's from. Overseas, he's revered. He's been voted one of the greatest songwriters of all time in the UK. And Bob Seger, "Ain't Got No Money." Bob Seger's big song, "Ain't Got No Money." That's a Frankie Miller song. And I mean, the people that have recorded Frankie's songs, from Rod Stewart all the way to, like, I don't want to get it wrong, but so many people, you'd be shocked, who recorded Frankie's song, because everybody knows the same thing. I know he's brilliant. He's still alive. He's brilliant. His songs are filled with soul and energy and rawness, and that's what we look for. And we write our own songs, but when we decided that we wanted to cover somebody, it was a no-brainer to do Frankie, because you don't have to do any work to cover a Frankie song. You just have to not screw it up. You know what I mean? Because the songs are so good and there's so much energy there. And we just wanted to pay tribute to Frankie in our small way, because not enough people are aware of just how brilliant that guy is.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to get back and talk about the record, "The Great Southern Hustle." This is a compilation, kind of a compilation record of like two previous recorded records that you had.
And what we did is we originally packaged that, but they're all new mixes. There's a couple of old ones on there, but they're almost, for the most part, everything's re-recorded and new mixes. We actually did that when we signed a new record deal over in Europe, and we did it for the European audience. And it went so well over there that our people in America said, "Hey, let's just do a compilation of your career and let's put it out here too." And so, like I said, it came out in the UK and in Europe in November on Conquest Music. Those guys are brilliant. If you're listening to this overseas, please order from them, Conquest, and get our album. And then in America, the label group, which is part of Universal, they decided to put it out because it just turned out really good. And so that kind of puts the ribbon on us up to this point. There's a few new songs on there that nobody's heard, but for the most part, that just buttons up our career up to now. And now it's on to all new music from here. And we've got an album's worth of new material we're working on right now. We're trotted out on this tour. We've trotted out a new song that's not on the album that is just really going over good. It's called "Something Crazy," and that song is not released yet. We've recorded it for the album, but it's not released anywhere. We're test marketing it, if you will, on this tour. But yeah, we just wanted people, as our profile grows and our footprint grows and our audience grows, we wanted to share music that we were writing back when nobody knew who we were, a decade ago, with new fans and new people, new friends, and so we freshened them up and things like that. But that's really what it is. It's just kind of an overview of who we are.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Steve, I want to end the interview by asking you what do you feel are the best 5 records ever released, in your opinion?
Oh man. All right, let me see. Honestly, and not just because we're here, but I would say Cat Scratch Fever is one of them. I would say Van Halen 1 is another. The debut album from a band called The Cry of Love. It's one of the greatest albums that not enough people heard. And then the other two, I would say probably Boston's first record, and then I would say Foreigner 4 from me.
Wow, those are 5 real good ones. Yeah, excellent.
So, and I could go on and on because you know how music people are, just like you. You go, oh God, I just said 5, and I forgot this one or forgot that one. So it'd be easier for me for artists, but yeah, there's 5 albums I could live with and not listen to anything else for a while.
That's awesome. Well, Steve, I want to thank you very much for your time, and good luck on the rest of the tour. And anybody watching this, make sure you check out Hillbilly Vegas. If they come to your town, check them out. Check out the new record, The Great Southern Hustle, which is available now. You can get it on Spotify. You can buy the CD. If you see them live at concert, you can go to the merch booth and get one. But yeah, definitely check it out.
Thanks, man. Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate you coming to the show and meeting you the other night. This interview, thank you very much.
You're welcome, and I'm sure we'll catch up again soon, Steve. You take
Anytime.
it easy. You take it easy and stay safe on the road.
All right. Goodbye.
All right. Bye-bye.